What's up? Jay from ARIYA here, and today is your promised on-demand video. So many of you ask me to explain the concepts of light and shadow that I mention often and throughout my work. Now, from the dawn of humanity, all of us have this visceral, innate understanding that there are two opposite forces in the universe that are fighting each other, the forces of good and evil as they're often portrayed and referred to in many philosophical and religious schools. The reason why I don't use those terms is because they've been overused and hugely contaminated over the centuries of usage, and also because the words of light and shadow actually portray much better the essence of the phenomenon that we're dealing with. So the light is that underlying, underpinning force of the entire existence. It flows through the entire creation, manifested and unmanifested. And this is what is often referred as God within you, because this is your own personal spark of that universal force that had brought together and keeps together the entire creation as we know it. Now, shadow is obviously the absence of light. And where's the absence of light, there is decay, death, darkness, and all the horrible things that we associate with the word evil. And the shadow is also linked to ignorance. So when the light of knowledge appears, the shadow dissipates. Now, why should you know about this? Two reasons. This knowledge directly influences who you're likely to become and the way you function and interact with the world and other people. And you can choose consciously where you stand if you know what your options are. So first thing to know is the light and the shadow are not exactly opposite forces. The light is stronger and it's greater in its expanse because the universe is greater than just the parts of it that are affected by the shadow. The shadow doesn't create anything. It can only distort, contaminate, and twist what is already there. It does not have that creative power. So when you see something being twisted, distorted, and defiled, that is the shadow at work. When you see creation, beauty, harmony, that's the light at work. And of course, although originally we are creations and children of the light, our minds and bodies are susceptible to the attack from the shadow, and this is why you should know about this. Right now, in this world, the shadow is pretty strong, and the way it works, although fairly simple, are pretty sneaky, and because of that, many people sadly fall under its influence. And when that happens, they tend to diminish their connection with that light and the power within, because your personal power comes from that essence of light and God within you. So our task as living beings is to find and restore that connection so we can function to a maximum ability and ultimate potential while we're here. And as I mentioned earlier, the light and the shadow are not equal and opposite forces, and they don't actually need each other. So the shadow needs the light to feed on it because it can't create anything by itself. So it needs something to feed on, pretty much like a virus inside our body. It needs the body to feed upon, otherwise it just can't exist. However, the light does not need the shadow to exist. Think of a light of a candle or of the light from the sun. They shine without any need for the darkness to make it happen. So this is how the true power of light operates. It exists in its own right, and it does not need anything to support it because it supports itself. It's the power of life that flows through the entire existence. Now, one of the favorite tricks of the shadow is to convince people that the shadow is needed in this world to balance out the light somehow. No, it doesn't. So think of the times when you're really happy, really healthy, and enjoying your life and doing some amazing work. Do you really need horrible things like a death in the family or to break your leg to be able to enjoy your life? No, you don't. You're pretty happy getting on with your life and enjoying it and giving yourself to others with no hiccups and interference like that. So it's just an illusion, but it's a very powerful one, so many people buy it. And I want to warn you, to stay away from that illusion, because if you allow the thought of the shadow as a rightful part in your life, then it will be much more difficult for you to get rid of it and to set yourself free. And this is exactly what the shadow is trying to achieve. And here's one last thing I would like you to know. So the light and the shadow, or good and evil, are not some mental constructs or philosophical concepts that some people just made up in their spare time. It's far from that. They are actual forces, albeit metaphysical, but they're forces that actually exist in our universe, and they interact with us, with each other, and the world around. And although you may not have the ability to interact with them directly, but you will see them through their influence. It's like you can't see the time, but you can see what time does to objects around you, and because of that, you know that it's there. So with the light and the shadow, you can tell that they are there because of the result of their influence. So the light manifests itself in all life, all healing, all positive changes and inspiring transformations that we see in ourselves and in the world around. And the shadow manifests in anger, hatred, war, fear, anxiety, and horrible things that people have to deal with in their lives. The gateway for the shadow to manifest in your life on the physical plane is your mind. So if you allow the shadow into your mind, you will soon see the result on the physical plane. But conversely, if you feel your thoughts, your heart, and your entire body essence with the light and with the thoughts of strength and your divine origin and purpose, you will then radiate that power outwards, and you will heal and empower yourself and the world around you. So you will be able to lead by example. I want to keep this video short, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment underneath and I will reply in the comments. Or if I really like your question, then I can make a new video about it and go into more detail so we can create something interesting together. Now, because we are susceptible to the influence of the shadow, we have to take steps to protect ourselves, because if we are fully attuned to the light within, then we are actually spared so many difficulties and problems that many other people who have lost that connection are struggling with. So, for example, you can heal yourself much faster, you can eradicate anxiety and depression for good. And I'm not just saying that, I've tested it myself, so I know how it works. I've been suffering from depression for years and years until I figured this out. So hear me out. It really does work. The reason why I call it light is because in our language, we simply don't have another word for an energy with a shining quality. So the energy that shines in English is called light. And this is why I refer to it as such. So there are no religious overlays to it. It's just simply what it is. Now, if you reconnect with that power within, you will become immune to the influence of the shadow. So you will become immune to psychic attacks, depression, anxiety, anger, picking up anger and fear from other people, because as you probably know, emotions spread. It's called emotional contagion, where you are in a group of people and suddenly you start feeling like other people in this group. So if you have the connection with that light within, you become immune to that emotional contagion, and you can stand for yourself and you can keep your ground and create your life consciously. But that's not all. If you realize who you really are, if you start training yourself as a warrior in spirit, you will then be able to channel that inner power into the outer world, and you will change the lives of people around you, because your influence will become soothing and healing and actually transformative. You know, if you've ever been in a presence of a really inspirational person or a spiritual guru, and I mean a true spiritual guru or a teacher, you will notice that in their presence, you feel instantly stronger, healthier, more uplifted, and actually more inspired to take action and to do something great with your life. So that is that influence of the energy of light radiating from them into your personal field and inspiring and healing you. And this is something you will be able to do for other people as well. As I mentioned before, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below and I will reply to them. I always reply to them personally. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. And one last thing, on my website, you will find a free guide that will help you find and align with your life purpose. It is a long journey, but this little guide will help you make that first step. Thanks for watching and see you next time.